From years of anxiety to warrior and mentor, Bradley Robinson created the Anxiety Project to help you end your anxiety naturally. Let's mold the new you and let's end anxiety together.
Hello and welcome to the Anxiety Project podcast number 117. I am Brad Robinson. This week's episode is all about the macro goals and how you can obtain those goals that seem so far out of your reach if you focus and aim properly towards the micro goals, the goals you can do and reach every day. And if you just make your day 5% better, you will be in a totally different place a year from now. That's absolutely mind-blowing. If every day you focus on making the day 5% better, obtaining those micro goals, you will be in a totally different place a year from now. You will be a totally different person. Now, before I get into this episode, I want to go over your comments on last week's episode 116, which was a Q&A, very, very powerful Q&A. And George Marin comments, I find that the more I connect and become familiar with my shadow, the more enlightened I become. Powerful episode. Thank you, George. And I agree. The more I connected with my shadow, the more I became stronger and spiritually awakened. Eliza XXX says, had many recovery setbacks, but accepting them as just helps me move forward. If you can talk about setbacks more on a later episode, that would be great. Thanks, Eliza, for your comment. And yes, I will definitely talk about setbacks on a later episode. They always come up because anxiety, setbacks, and failure is a normal part of the journey, because you need to get slapped psychologically, right? You need a slap on the face over and over and over and over again for bad habits to break completely. And so failure is necessary. You have to fail, recognize the pain of that setback, move forward, fail again, recognize the pain of that setback, and recognizing that pain helps me get out of that ditch, it helps me to stop stepping into that slush puddle, right? Maddie Lopez, he says, I make your podcast into a daily routine because I am so sick of feeling stuck in anxiety. Learning is helping me reach a better place in my life. Thank you, Maddie, for your comment. I'm so grateful. And I connect with your comment because that was the whole beginning of my recovery, just learning, stepping outside of the domain of my known territory into this recovery domain. You know, recovery found me because I used to be always focused on other things, many things, but the film industry, ex relationship, negative patterns that I was constantly engaging in. And recovery found me because my body was telling me, Brad, you need to pay attention to all of these underlying issues that have brought you into this hole, this deep dark hole that I ended up. And so recovery found me because there was no other way to get better than to learn and focus my aim, readjust my aim towards this anxiety recovery. So thank you for your comments on last week's episode. And let's get into this week's episode, which will be a very powerful one, because I'm going to talk about sacrifices. I'm talking about values. And many people on this recovery journey, they don't know how to begin because it's so unknown to them, and it's understandable, right? Of course, you don't know where to begin, but you have to take those first steps. And in many people, they also get caught in a repetitive loop of daily habits that have kept them stuck. And they've practiced that loop. They've practiced those negative patterns for a long time, probably most of their life. Like myself, I practiced those patterns for most of my life. And I used to think too macro. I used to see the actor on TV and be like, oh, I'll never get to where they are. Or I see someone who's very spiritual, somebody who's a great public speaker, somebody who's a great intellect. Oh, I'll never get to where they are because I'm seeing the outer onion, the outer layer. Little did I know they had to go through plenty of struggle, plenty of failure, plenty of negative moments and negative states to get to where they are. And it is important, it's crucial that you compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Who is the you that was waking up yesterday? And how can you improve on that person today? And making your life, making your day, making today 5% better than it was yesterday will, and if you keep applying that every single day, your life will be totally different in a year from now. So at the beginning of my recovery, I stopped going on social media because I found that I was comparing myself to other people. And I was suffering. I was in pain. I was in a bad place. And I was comparing myself constantly to other people. Oh, look how happy they are. Oh, they're on vacation in Jamaica. Oh, they're having kids. Oh, they bought a house. Oh, they got a dog. All of these things, I felt envious of them because I wasn't working on myself. I was seeing macro, I was seeing outer onions of other people's lives. And that was a big mistake. So at the beginning of my recovery, I knew that, okay, I need to set my aim on making my days better, understanding anxiety, getting out of this hole. And I knew that social media it needs to be out of the picture. I need to focus on what I'm doing today and what I need to do and to learn about anxiety, to expand my knowledge. And things got better. That's the thing. When I stopped looking on social media, when I focused my aim on anxiety recovery, things just got better. And you have to set small enough goals you can actually attain. And at the beginning of my recovery, I realized that I was drinking too much coffee and I was just adding fuel to the fire. So I realized that quitting caffeine, this is an attainable goal. It's difficult. It's, looking back at it, it doesn't seem like a big goal of mine, but at the time it was a big enough goal because I loved coffee. I loved the feeling of caffeine, but I knew that it was only adding fuel to my anxiety, right? And so weaning myself off of caffeine was an attainable goal. It's something I could do and I could work on. And it was really difficult, but anything worth doing will be difficult. You also don't know the benefits of replacing a habit until you actually do it. I was attached to coffee and only knew a life of drinking coffee, right? So I had to find out what life was like without coffee, without that caffeine. And when you do and you discover the benefits, and you find out that, hey, actually life is actually better without caffeine. I only viewed life through the lens of that caffeine, right? As an example. And so when you shift your perspective and see a different side of the story, a different side to the coin, you'll see that, hey, this is actually more beneficial with drinking without the caffeine. So during the day, I was sitting around watching my mentors on YouTube and writing notes. That's how I spent the early days of my recovery. I was just aimed only at recovery. Work, relationships, they had to go on the back burner. They had to go because you don't change your external world. You don't change your relationships for the better or your career for the better until you work on your internal self. And my days sitting around, learning, watching these YouTube videos, listening to these podcasts, learning about anxiety, my days became overwhelmingly better. Even though I was still suffering from anxiety, I was finding the answers. I was finding the answers to this unknown domain that I was stuck in for a long time. And I've had clients who just don't change their routine. We would meet up for an hour a week. We would meet, and I would say, what changes have you been doing during the week? And they would just say the same routine that they've been doing that has kept them stuck in that negative pattern. And I would say, how do you expect change to occur if you don't take any action? And coming here to this coaching session will not be enough. You have to implement the techniques. You have to want to change, right? And what you act out, those actions attaches value to that act. So what you act out attaches value to that action. That means becoming aware of what you are doing daily. You have to pay attention to the things that you're doing daily. Are the things that you're doing causing negative emotion? Do you feel like you've wasted time, that you should be doing something else? You watch Netflix for a few hours and then afterwards you have this guilty feeling like you've just wasted time? It's important to pay attention and become aware of things that you're doing daily that keep you stuck. You could be doing more. And what you repeatedly do is what you value. When you make a shift in your routine, like making your bed, you start to make your bed in the morning, or you clean your room, or you write in a journal, or you begin to meditate, or you go to bed at a new time, you are attaching value to that act. So you value taking care of your mental and physical health, right? Because when you do these new routines, when you do these new habits, you're saying to yourself, oh, I value my health. I value the time that I get to spend with myself. I value my mental health. So sacrifice is required. Giving up something of value now so that the future you will be better is necessary for self-development. What are you willing to give up? That's the question. What are you willing to give up? I used to stay up until 2 a.m. every night. and I would sleep in the morning. And I realized I should give that up. It's not serving me in any positive way, because I would stay up to 2 a.m. watching TV, and I would eat food late at night. And then I would wake up in the morning. I would feel like I wasted the morning. So I decided to shift my sleep time and wake up time. And things got better. It was difficult at first. I had a hard time adjusting to the routine, but that's the cognitive dissonance, right? Feeling, thinking, and behaving in a manner that you're not accustomed to. Just because it feels wrong doesn't mean it's wrong. At first, those are the feelings, natural. But when you start to experience the benefits after a month, you'll realize, oh, I see what Brad was talking about. Yes, I do see the benefits. I'm getting more stuff done. Look how much stuff I got to do in the morning now. And I used to shift. I used to sacrifice my negative friends, the music I was listening to, the TV shows. I had to give them up because I noticed they were keeping me stagnant. I noticed that the old Brad used to do these things. I don't want to be stuck in that state. I don't want to be stuck in that identity anymore. And it was out of desperation that I gave these things up, because I wanted to get better. I had enough. I attached a lot of pain to staying where I was. So I was comparing myself to who I was yesterday all the time. All the time. The old Brad didn't used to sit around at the coffee shop, listen to anxiety podcasts, recovery podcasts, spiritual teachers, writing things down, studying them. That old Brad didn't do those things. This new Brad does those things. So I used to think too macro. I used to think that, to be successful, to get all that money, to have that car, whatever it was, I used to think too abstract, too macro. That life would be better if I lived somewhere else. If I lived, in Jamaica, life would be better. Life would be better if I was famous or noticed more. Life would be better if I had this career, right? Or the career of somebody I see on Instagram. And that was never the right perspective. With that perspective, things only got worse for me. It was only when I broke myself down and began to look at things on a micro level. And that requires you to start locally, even in your own bedroom. Change begins in your own bedroom. And this is what comes up when I see some of my clients. I talk about the state of their room. What does your room look like? Is it messy? Because if your room is messy, that's a direct reflection of the state of your own mind, right? If you can't even take care of the local environment you inhabit, how do you expect other things outside of your home, the greater picture, how do you expect that to change if you are unable to take control and organize the state just around you, the room you wake up in every morning? Because your demons will always follow you if you try and escape. They will always follow you. You'll find that, you move to this new country that, you think everything will be better when you move there, but the demons pop back up. Then what do? Because you can't run away from that shadow. You can't run away from your demons. And I thought I could. I thought that was the answer. I was always trying to run away from that. And even locally, I was running away from that through negative friends, through drugs, through negative relationships. And I was finding that escape. And it starts when you take responsibility. You start to become aware that I'm the one causing this pain. If I don't change, if I don't look internally on my actions, what I'm doing every day, then things are not going to get better. So each and every day, if you focus on one thing, focus on one small goal. For instance, to recap, the caffeine goal I had, changing that goal was powerful. It made things better. It made things 5% better for me. I felt better. And it also makes you stronger mentally because you did something that you thought you couldn't do. That's really important. If you make your day, each and every day, 5% better, that's it. 5% better. Do something that makes you uncomfortable. Clean up the state of your room. Clean up your car. Just change the routine on some level, on a micro level. The future you a year from now will be in a totally different place. That is absolutely extraordinary. And that's where I'm going to leave you on today's podcast episode. Thank you for being here with me today. I posted a video this week, a really powerful video on my first panic attack and how that traumatic experience shaped the years following, and how I managed to get out of and release that trauma and realize that, that panic attack episode really influenced how I viewed my health later on down the road in my life. So check out that check out that video on the Anxiety Project YouTube channel. And remember, do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next podcast episode. Bye for now.
Brad's powerful anxiety recovery program is available at unpluganxiety.com. The Anxiety Project program is downloadable and puts the power of anxiety recovery in your own hands. What are you waiting for? Visit unpluganxiety.com for more details. Recovery starts now.